So, so hi, Ms. Gray. Thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate it. And before we get started, I'm going to steal a question from Mrs. Hall, and that is, what Netflix show are you currently watching, or what book are you currently reading?
Oh my goodness, you guys put me on the spot. What am I watching? Oh, I know what I'm watching on Netflix. It's so cliche. I'm watching Design Star. So Design Star is an old school design show. It's like a reality show, and 10 people compete, and whoever comes like the best rooms over all these weeks wins. So I'm watching that on Netflix right now.
That's funny. I've never heard of that, but it also relates to what we're going to be talking about today in your
Yep.
profession. So that's interesting. How many seasons are there?
I think there's 7 seasons total. Actually, I'm getting a call. Sorry, guys. I think there's 7 seasons total. So, but it's from, I think the last season was 2012. So it's kind of old school, but it helps me, like, it makes me creative when I'm watching it. So I like to watch it.
Okay, I gotta look at that and see how that is. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
So we're gonna jump right into it. So first question I have to ask you is, what are your responsibilities as an interior designer, and what
Sure.
does your typical day look like as well?
Sure. Well, thank you again for having me. I'm so glad to be able to hop on and talk with you guys about interior design. I come to design with a little bit of a unique background because this is a second career for me. So, my first career was in marketing, mostly with insurance companies for 15 years. So, that's what I went to school for. And then I could not shake the knack for interior design. So I made the transition 3 years ago. No, actually 4.5 years ago now. So, but my responsibilities include really partnering with clients to transform their homes, and also sometimes businesses. So sometimes we work with small business owners to do renovations and design work in their businesses. And what that entails is really learning about them. A lot of my job is listening and then interpreting what people are trying to say or what they would like to have to see. So learning as much about them as possible, and then problem solving. A lot of times people come to interior designers because they can't figure out what to do. So
Mhm.
it's our job to problem solve, whether it's like floor plan or paint color or like what type of furniture.
I kind of cut out at the end. So did you talk about your schedule? Like, how does it work, and how do you plan?
No, so a lot of my time is in the office on the computer, coming up with design ideas and plans. And then just now, I actually just left a client visit and then an install. So those are kind of like my 3 segments of time. So I'm
Okay.
on the computer thinking of ideas, but I'm also, designing and finding the right sofa, finding the right paint color. I do all that on the computer, but then I'm also on a computer reconciling budgets. So a lot of our job is like taking the client's money to buy the furniture. And so that requires to like really keep a good handle and project manage the budget and everything. So I spend a lot of time communicating with the client too on email, also with contractors, and sharing with them what our plans are and making sure they have what they need to execute. So computer time, out in the field, meeting with the clients and on site, making sure that the project is going the way that we expect it to go. And
Mhm.
then lastly, installs, which is when our team is putting all the furniture in place and making everything look pretty. So now all the plans are actually coming to life.
Awesome. Thank you. So you said that you were in marketing for 15 years at first. So how did you become interested in interior designing?
I've always loved to decorate my own room, even as a kid. Um, I would take like anything to decorate it. Like I would get the milk crates from the store down the street and like put fabric on it to decorate it and make it a side table. Or I would change whatever we had in our room. So like my bed, I would put it against this wall one day and the other wall the next day. So I always loved it. but I just never thought it could be a career. And I also never really saw women of color in that career space either. So I just did, what your parents say, go to school, go to college. I grew up in Philadelphia, so I went to Central High School.
Me
And I just
too.
went to, did you go to Central?
Yes, 272.
Oh my gosh, what's your class number?
272. What's yours?
Wow, that's a small world. Okay, now I feel old because when I tell you my class number, you're going to laugh. 259.
Okay.
So I just, this is my 20th year, my 20-year high school reunion year. I graduated in 2000. So I went to Central, I went to college, I went to Westchester, and I just found a major that I thought was as creative as I could possibly do. So that's how I ended up in marketing, because I thought it was creative. And it is. I just went the non-creative route because I work for insurance companies. But but it was a great career. I think everything happens for a reason, and it helped me to just become financially stable, buy a house and provide for I have 2 children, and my husband and I provide for our family. And it also gave me the business skills I needed to be a business owner. So not only am I a designer, but I own my own design firm. So most of my job is running the business. So that business background helped me with that. But yeah, I would decorate my room. And then one day I was renovating my own house. By this time, I had watched a lot of YouTube videos, and I was doing things myself. And I was painting this room or changing that, and I posted it on Facebook to my family and friends. And everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, you should do this for a career. You're so good. The before and after is amazing." And I was like, okay, well, maybe I do have something. But I'm still in my corporate career in marketing. So I said, and by this time I had my undergrad degree and a master's degree in business. So I said, I don't want to go back to school for 4 years to get another degree because I'm in my early 30s and I spent a lot of money on student loans already. So I ended up going to Temple University to get a certificate in interior design. So Temple has a 5-month program that you can go to get a certificate. It's a non-credit program. And they also have, I believe they also have a credited interior design program, which I want to hire. I hire people who have degrees in design. So just because my path doesn't have a full degree in design doesn't mean that it's not desired. It's very definitely a benefit. It makes you very valuable if you want to go on that. Either option, you really should have some sort of eye for design.
Okay. You kind of talked about this already, but are there any skills or qualities that you think someone must have to pursue a career in interior design?
Yeah, I think first you have to be a people person. That's the most underrated part of this, because I just wanted to make rooms pretty. I didn't realize that doing that meant you have to talk to the people that live in the rooms. And a lot of times you're trying to figure out what they want. And that means a lot of conversation, a lot of listening. So you have to be a people person and have interpersonal skills. Also, you have to be organized. You're working with large budgets a lot with furniture. When people buy furniture, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so you have to be organized to be able to keep everything in line. What you bought, what you spent the money on, what's remaining. So you have to be organized. And also an interior designer is mostly a lot like a project manager. So you're keeping everybody moving. You're keeping the contractors going and telling them what they need. You're the painter, the electrician, the furniture company. So you're like the middle person, and you're making everything kind of move and go. So project management, people person, organization. And then my last one, I guess I would say, is creativity. That's kind of obvious, but just being thinking out of the box. anybody can go to Raymore and Flanagan and buy whatever's on their showroom floor. It's up to you to be like creative and think out the side of the box and say, you know what? That gray sofa would look great with this burgundy chair with a gray stripe, down the middle or something like that. So those 4, I think, will get you far.
Thank you. Did you touch on how much education is involved to get into this field?
I'll give you a 1-sentence answer on that, kind of, but not fully. So you can either do a certificate like I did.
Yes.
That's the lowest level, but you can also do an associate's degree for 2 years. Community college actually has a program for that. You could do a 4-year degree at many universities in the area. Drexel is like a top-notch school for this field. And so is, New York School of Interior Design is like top in the country. But there's 4-year programs in the area. And then I have someone that works with us right now. She is our project manager, and she's at Drexel for a master's degree in interior architecture. So there are multiple levels and multiple fields that you can kind of enter in this industry.
Right. And so what's the difference between if you were to get an associate's degree or like a bachelor's in it?
I think it just limits how far you can go. So maybe for different companies, it's different things. So different interior design firms may have different requirements, but I would think that it may be more difficult to become a senior designer or a lead designer if you don't have the qualifications. It just may take a little longer than if you had a 2-year degree versus a 4-year.
Got it. Okay.
But if you worked in your own business, though, that kind of bypasses that, I would assume.
Yeah, it does. But then, being an entrepreneur, I have 2 jobs. I'm an interior designer and then I'm a business owner. So, owning your own business is great. I love it. I wouldn't have done it any other way, but it's a lot of work for sure.
Awesome. What kind of problems do you encounter while at work?
A lot of the time it's about things that I can't control, like furniture delays or, clients, let's say a contractor does something incorrectly. And so all of those things happen on a regular basis. There's so many moving parts that there is often things that go wrong. I always tell my clients, I think the way to circumvent that is to set expectations up front. So I always tell my clients, we're almost in a relationship, like boyfriend and girlfriend. And so most of the time our relationship is going to be amazing, but there will be some times where we have like bumps in the road. And the best thing to do is just to communicate with each other along the way. So communication helps to try to mitigate all of that as much as possible. But it's sometimes you just can't control things that happen. So they're going to happen and you just kind of roll with the punches.
Okay. This is like a random question, but have you ever had a client not satisfied with your work?
If I did early on, and we ended the relationship early. So what we do is we present the client with a design board or a design concept in the beginning of the project. And so they have to approve that before we buy anything, before we install anything. And so I had a client where we did like 3 versions and we do like 2 sets of revisions. So we were past the sets of revisions and we just weren't driving. And, I said, I might not be the designer for you. And that's okay. It's only happened a couple of times out of the 76 or 75 clients, but it happens and you just recommend someone else to them. And if there's a refund, give her the refund or just kind of close it out. So, but I try to prevent it by getting the client to approve it before we start anything.
You actually answered my other question because I was going to ask how do you handle it, but you basically answered it. Thank you again.
Yeah, sure.
Since you're talking about clients, how do you obtain clients? Like, do you do like a questionnaire? Are you recruiting for clients? How does that work?
so my background is in marketing, which has proven to be very helpful in any business. But so I do a lot of marketing on social media. I think that's just a way for people. See, our work is very visual. So Instagram with pictures is like the perfect way for me to show what I do. So social media, and then also word of mouth and networking. So I don't actively advertise in like a newspaper or online or anything like that. I just show up. I'm just visible so that when people are thinking about an interior designer and if they like what they see with our work, then they'll reach out to us. So they always go on my website. And then once they go on our website, there's a questionnaire on there where they just put their information and what they're looking for. And then when they fill that out, we get it into our system, and then we'll give them a call. The very first thing we do is we talk to them on the phone for like 15 minutes. And I'm listening for like clues, like, is this a project that we want to take on? Can we help this person? So we listen to them on the phone, and then we schedule a consultation to meet with them in person if we decide that, yes, we want to move forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of like viewing them. It's cool.
Yeah. It goes both ways because you're working in someone's personal home. It's so intimate. And I just want to make sure that, one, they're not crazy, but two, I'm joking, but two, that it's just a good match.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
So what do you enjoy most about your job, whether it be working at the homes or with small businesses?
I like people. I know I just said I didn't realize I was going to have to work with people, but I do like people. And I also like being able to use interior design to make a difference in someone's life. Because, you know, where you live, especially now that we're all home so much and we see our houses so much, it's important to feel like you love your space and feel comfortable in your space. So I feel like even just by changing interior design and designing the space, it's really helpful in how people live and their happiness. So that's what I love most about it.
Awesome. So could I ask, how would you suggest someone just getting started set themselves apart from competition?
I would say that you really want to stay true to your style and what you love to do and show a lot of that, because then people that like that will be attracted to what you do. So I also say everyone, you know, there's multiple people who have talent, but hard work and being consistent outweighs talent any day.
Absolutely.
You can look at a designer who isn't as amazing as the next person, but they're successful because they're consistent, they're working hard, and they're organized and things like that. So I would say always work on your craft, but always be focused on, if you are going to be a business owner, making sure that you're the best in the business side of it, and just being consistent and staying true to what you like and what you love, and then you'll attract the right clients.
Thank you. You answered my next question, which was, what advice would you give to someone that's interested in the field?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I always say start with your house too, like start where you live or start with friends or whatever. I had a 13-year-old who was interested in interior design, and I talked to her a few times. And this 13-year-old already has her first client. It's her friend. Her mom, the friend's mom, gave them a budget of like $200, and she's being so creative to do all these kinds of things to her friend's room. And I'm like, that's so cool. Like my first job technically was my nephew's nursery. My sister said, you have $500 to, besides the furniture, like they already had the crib, but to like do the curtains and the stuff on the wall. And that was my first job. So start with what you have. And if you're serious about it, it's scary to share your work, because the first time I was like, I don't know if someone's going to like it. People might not like what I do. And I posted it. And because I loved it, I think they loved it. So start with what you have and just go for it and stay true to who you are.
That's sounds like dorm rooms could be something. Like if they're all freshmen in college, like they could
I was
probably
thinking
design
that.
dorm rooms, apartments, things like
Yes,
that.
absolutely. That's fun. I didn't realize I was decorating my dorm room at the time, but I was decorating my dorm room. So yeah, that's a perfect place to start. You can always get like peel and stick wallpaper from different places, from like Target. Yeah, all kinds of. There's so many options out there now.
Speaking of which, so how do you get like your creative juices flowing? Like, is there anything you do in particular, other than I know you have to get to know the client and their personality?
No, not really. Well, okay, I guess I do. I don't even realize I do it. I love to look at Pinterest. Pinterest has a lot of good ideas on it. So I'll just scroll, scroll, scroll. I'll type in, I know I want to use these colors, teal chair, and see what comes up until something grabs my attention. I'm like, that's it. I also just like try to chill out, like be in a quiet space, like music and just me and my thoughts. A lot of times I'm able to design at night when everyone else is asleep. It's weird. And I try to not stay up and be a night owl, but I'm like, that's where I can think clearly. So quiet music and inspiration, either magazines or Pinterest.
Okay. And that jumps into my next question of how do you balance your personal life with like running the business and your job?
Yeah. Um, there's no such thing as balance. I want you, especially as women, to know that. I had to have a conversation with my husband and my kids before I started. Like, this is about to be my new baby. And y'all just got to hang with me for a couple of years while I work a lot to build this business. So just communication with people. And then when you're doing something, just do it and don't like be distracted by other things. Like, there's so much in this world to distract us. So if I'm with my children, I'm with them. If I'm on a date with my husband, I'm on a date with him. I'm not doing work, but I probably worked more than I did before I started the business. So I just try to be intentional about setting time with people I love, and then just telling them, setting expectations so they know that I'm going to work a lot, during the week, and I'll be available on the weekends or whatever it is.
Thank you. I know that you said you wanted to keep this to around 5 o'clock. So before like we ended, I just want to ask Alicia or Paloma, do you have any questions for Miss Gray?
I do. I
Mm-hmm.
have I've written down one. So my question was, what is one thing you wish someone told you before going into this field?
Question.
That you can, that the possibilities are endless. Don't limit yourself. I never thought in a million years that I would be in House Beautiful magazine or filming a television show about design. I just never, I grew up in Germantown in Philadelphia. I have lived in the smallest of apartments, and I just come from humble beginnings, and I just would have never thought, even as a second career designer, like I didn't go to school. I got a certificate in design, but I don't have a 4-year degree in design. I have it in business. I just never thought that I could do all of these great things in this design world. So I would say hard work and passion and commitment, the possibilities are endless.
I have like two different questions. For my first question, as a business owner, how did you like take the steps into starting your own business, and how do you maintain it?
So starting my own business, I did a lot of Googling, and I knew I needed a website, and I also knew I needed a name. So I kind of went through that stuff first, and I always treated it like a business. So my sister, I didn't charge her, but my first paying client, the first client after her, I did charge them. It was a little bit of money, but I charged them because I wanted it to be a business and not a hobby. So I charged them $375. And and I worked on that project for like 4 months, and all that was like gas money. It wasn't a lot of money to me at the time, especially since I had been working in corporate for so long. So I would say when you're starting a business, always treat it like a business. Have, invoice people, have receipts, start your website, or at least your social media pages, have a name for the business, always have a professional presence. Like, I have my own personal Instagram that I might be on there, like, toasting with my girlfriends. And then I have my business Instagram where like it's strictly business. So always be professional. And I did file with the government so that I have a LLC, but that came later. But I would just say website, a name, so that you can start promoting yourself, and always treat it like a business.
Okay. For my second question, I'm a design student right now.
Oh,
and
good.
design is really hard. Like design class, it's really hard and it's really
Yeah.
stressful.
Uh-huh.
So do you feel like if you would have went into school like a 4-year program for design instead of a certificate program, do you feel like anything would have been different?
Oh, yeah. I definitely think it would have been different for me. I wouldn't have to hire for people that have the skills that I don't have. So I always believe that I work in my superpower. So my superpower is marketing and business development and designing, like meaning, making things pretty. I hire someone to do the technical computer drawings. I hire someone to do sketches for our company. And so, yes, if I would have went to a 4-year school, I probably could have done all those things myself. And then I probably would have worked for another company first before going out on my own. So maybe things would have been a little easier that way. So it depends, where you want your career to go. But I always say, like, find someone or a couple of designers out there, famous or not, that you admire, and figure out what their career path was, and then try to mimic that. Okay. Are you in college or are you high school now?
I'm in college. I'm a freshman.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Everyone's calling me. I hope everything's okay. I think they're fine though. And what school are you at?
Right now, I'm at Thomas Jefferson, but like I'm currently in like a predicament where I'm thinking about changing majors or like possibly switching schools. So I'm just at a pause right now.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, and I don't know. It's hard for me to give you advice about it. But I would say, I don't know if that program focuses more on architecture or design or not, like, so yeah, just think about it, and also figure out like the end game. Where do you want to be long term? And you don't have to have it all figured out. But I would say keep going, and whatever you decide to do, whether it's stay in that program or switch to a different program, but like keep going. Don't let the momentum stop.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Good luck with everything.
Thanks.
Can I ask real quick? So I know you also are a real estate investor too, that you also get to make things pretty. I guess you want to, in a sense, you're making things pretty, you're redesigning houses that way. What would be like the difference? Because I know sometimes people are strictly real estate or strictly interior design. I guess, could you touch a little bit on the differences and similarities?
Yeah, sorry. I design differently for real estate investment properties because it's not someone's personal home. So I try to make things very neutral, and also cost effective too, because as a real estate investor, I'm trying to make a profit. So I would probably spend a little less on materials. Everything will be really neutral, so it appeals to as many people as possible. So, and while, when you're designing for someone's home, it's very personal and specific to what they want.
I guess you would say you're not as creative, I guess, with real estate investments.
It forces you to be creative in different ways, I think. But yeah, it's a little dialed back. It's not as personalized.
Okay. So if somebody was interested in, like, I don't know, beautifying homes, I guess, how would somebody go about figuring out if real estate or interior design, like, which would be an avenue for them?
I would say if you have a passion for it, like if you find yourself wanting to do it in whatever way you do it now, you know, whether it's like watching design shows or doing stuff in your own home, but if you find yourself wanting to do it all the time, or thinking about it all the time, and you would do it for free, you don't need to do it for free, but if you would do it for free, then it's probably something that you should explore. If you enjoy it and love it, it's something you should explore for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, we
Awesome.
have about 3 more minutes left on this session. Those were some great questions. Again, I just want to say thank you for joining us, Ms. Gray. We really enjoyed having you.
Yes.
Is there any way they could get in contact with you if they had any like additional questions or anything?
Sure. Yes. So my email address is my first name. So it's Rasheeda, RASHEEDA. And it's at Rasheeda at grayspaceinteriordesign.com. So GRAY, the word space, interior design, no S. So Rasheeda at grayspaceinteriordesign.com. And then I'm on Instagram and Facebook and I think Twitter. I don't use Twitter, but Instagram for sure. It's Gray Space Interior Design on Instagram and Facebook.
She's tagged on the Gear Up page on her flyers. So if you want to
Oh
follow
yeah,
her,
I saw that.
follow her
Yes.
there.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Good luck, ladies, and all that you do. And thanks for having me.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye. Have a
Bye-bye.
good weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
Is that helpful?
Very helpful.
Good.